Hello everyone, thank you for watching the second session of our video series, Teaching English Word Stress and Intonation, Rules, Acoustics, Tools and AI. In this session, we will introduce the contents of teaching English word stress using various approaches. As mentioned earlier, when a word has more than two syllables in English, one syllable receives more importance than the other syllables when we say the word. That syllable is the one that has the primary word stress. Let's take the word English. For example, this word has two syllables, ing and glish. When listening to this word, you may notice that the vowel in the first syllable, ing, is louder, longer, and at a higher pitch than the vowel in the second syllable, glish. So the first syllable is stressed, and the second syllable is unstressed. Syllables can be divided into consonants and vowels. This figure shows that a syllable contains an optional consonant at the beginning, one compulsory vowel, including diphthong, as the core, and an optional consonant at the end. So the first syllable has a vowel as the core and a nasal consonant at the end, and the second syllable has a consonant cluster at the beginning, a core vowel in the middle, and a consonant at the end. Because the core of a syllable is a vowel, the stress mainly falls on the vowel of the stressed syllable. Let's check our understanding of English syllables. How many syllables are there in the word anthropology? As mentioned, there must be one and only one vowel, including diphthong, in a syllable. So, to count the number of syllables in a word, we just need to count the number of vowels in this word. We highlighted the vowels in this word. The first one is in the syllable an, the second one is in thra, the third vowel is in po, the fourth vowel is in la, and the fifth and last vowel is in g. So there are 5 vowels and, subsequently, 5 syllables in the word anthropology. Let's look at the next word, biology, as highlighted. There are 4 vowels in 4 syllables. The first one is a diphthong I in bi. The second vowel is the second syllable. Because there can only be one vowel, including diphthong, in one syllable, the second vowel and the first diphthong are in 2 different syllables. The third vowel is the schwa in la, the fourth and last vowel is in g. So, there are 4 vowels and thus 4 syllables in the word biology. After going through the notion of English syllable and word stress, we will introduce several approaches for teaching English word stress in practice. The first one is rule-based approach. The name of this approach is self-explanatory. We teach English word stress explicitly based on rules. The problem with teaching English word stress rules is that one rule cannot be applied to all English words due to the complexity and unpredictability of English word stress. There are always exceptions to the rules. Therefore, to decide the primary stress placement in a word, especially a newly learned word, we can teach students to systematically process the word by jointly applying several simple rules. The first rule considers phonological similarity. Words with similar morphological structures, and thus sound similar, usually have the same word stress pattern. We will cover words with affixation, including prefixes and suffixes, and compound words, including compound nouns and compound adjectives. First, I would like to introduce the notion of affixation. You can imagine a word with affixation as a tree, consisting of roots and stems. A root is the main part of a word that carries the core meaning. It is the foundation or base on which the word is built. Affixes are the small parts that are added to the root of a word to modify word meaning and create a new word altogether. There are 2 types of affixes, including prefixes that are added at the beginning of a word or suffixes that are added at the end of a word. Take the word reaction as an example. Act in the middle of the word is the root. It represents the core meaning of performing an action or doing something. Re at the beginning of the word is the prefix, meaning again or back. Ion at the end of the word is the suffix, commonly used to change verbs such as act into nouns. Rule 1.1 considers prefixes. In this table, there is a list of prefixes and 2 sample words containing the prefixes, which are highlighted for you. The syllables with primary stress are capitalized. Please observe this table. Can you summarize the word stress pattern for prefixes? You may notice that the prefixes are not in capital letters. which means they are not stressed. So the general rule for prefixes is that they are typically not stressed. Next, this table has a list of suffixes and corresponding sample words. The suffixes are highlighted and the stressed syllables are capitalized. These suffixes are called neutral suffixes. These suffixes generally do not affect word stress placement of the root. It means that the stress pattern of the root remains unchanged even after the suffix is attached at the end. For example, the root of impressive is press, which has the primary stress. When the suffix iv is attached to impress and forms the new word impressive, the primary stress is still on root, press. This table also contains suffixes and their sample words. These are the non-neutral suffixes, which usually change the word stress pattern of the root after they are attached at the end. We can see that the suffixes are capitalized in all sample words, meaning that the suffixes ese and ee are always stressed. This table includes 3 non-neutral suffixes and the sample words. Firstly, it is very clear that these suffixes are not stressed. Then, you may find that the syllable before the suffixes is stressed. So the general rule here is that the words with the suffixes ion, ic, and eous have the primary stress on the second to last syllable. These are the last 4 non-neutral suffixes we would like to introduce. These suffixes are not stressed, and the third to last syllable has the primary stress. After introducing the affixes, let's have a look at compound words. Compound words consist of 2 or more existing words, and a compound noun is a noun made up of existing words. For example, football. It consists of 2 nouns, the first one is foot, and the second one is ball, and the combination results in the compound noun football. Here is a list of compound nouns with the stressed syllable being capitalized. Usually, the first syllable of compound nouns carries primary stress. Next, we have compound adjectives, formed when 2 or more meaningful words are joined together to modify a noun. For example, the compound adjective hard-working consists of the words hard and working. Here is a list of compound adjectives, with the stressed syllable being capitalized. The second part of a compound adjective carries primary stress. The original stress pattern of the second part usually remains unchanged. Teaching English word stress has some advantages. First, it simplifies students' learning processes compared to memorizing word stress patterns word by word. Phonological similarity rules can provide a simplified approach to learning word stress patterns. Learners can quickly identify the stress placement of words without memorizing each word individually. Secondly, it improves students' learning efficiency. Teaching word stress using phonological similarity rules can save time and effort for both teachers and learners. Instead of focusing on individual words, learners can focus on grasping the underlying rules. The second main rule concerns word class. In English, some words, typically 2-syllable words, can function as both nouns and verbs, and the word stress pattern can differ depending on word class. Normally, when they function as verbs, the second syllable is stressed, for example, object. First syllable is stressed when they function as nouns, for example, object. If a word does not have affixation, is not a compound word, and does not function as both verbs and nouns, the normal stress rule, also known as the NSR, usually applies. The NSR is quite simple and predicts the primary word stress placement based on the number of syllables in a word. When a word has 2 syllables, the primary word stress is on the first syllable. When a word has 3 syllables, the primary word stress is also on the first syllable. When a word has more than 3 syllables, the primary word stress is on the third to last syllable. The NSR is advantageous for its simplicity and generalizability. It provides a straightforward and easy-to-apply rule for predicting stress patterns in words. It can be applied to a wide range of words, allowing students to develop a systematic understanding of English stress patterns. The last rule concerns vowel reduction. After deciding on the word stress placement, we introduce vowel reduction here because it is closely related to word stress and greatly affects a speaker's perceived nativeness. Vowel reduction refers to the phenomenon that a vowel sound in a word becomes shorter, weaker, or less emphasized compared to its usual full pronunciation. The full vowel may change to a more neutral or relaxed sound, like the sound, represented by the schwa symbol in English IPA. For example, the letter A may be reduced in words such as alone as a schwa. So it is not alone or alone, but alone. The letter O may also be reduced. For example, the first O letter is reduced in the first syllable of the word control. So it is not pronounced as control, but control. Here is a list of words with 3 different types of vowel reduction and word stress patterns. The highlighted vowels in the words of the first type are unreduced and unstressed. For example, the O in the second syllable of nylon is unstressed and not reduced. The second type includes unreduced and stressed vowels, like the O in the second syllable of proposal. The third type includes reduced and unstressed vowels, like the O in the first syllable of proposal. Generally, the vowel in the stressed syllable is not reduced, and the vowel in the unstressed syllable is usually reduced, but it may be unreduced in some words. With all the rules I just introduced, we can embed them into a decision flowchart to determine the location of primary stress for an English word, especially a newly learned word. Let's explore it by watching this video.
Here is the flowchart for deciding the primary stress for an English word, especially for newly learned words. We will ask ourselves several questions and apply the rules introduced earlier to decide on word stress placement and vowel reduction. The first question is, does the word have an affix? If the answer is no, the second question is it a compound word? If the answer is yes, we will apply the rules to decide word stress placement. Rule 1.6, the first syllable of compound nouns carries primary stress, and Rule 1.7, the second part of compound adjectives carries primary stress. If the answer is no, the question goes to can it function as both nouns and verbs? If the answer is yes, we will apply Rule 2. When a word can function as both a noun and a verb, the stress falls on the first syllable if it is a noun and on the second syllable if it is a verb. If the answer is no, we will apply the normal stress rule. Rule 3.1. 2-syllable words are stressed on the first syllable. Rule 3.2. 3-syllable words are stressed on the first syllable. Rule 3.3. Words of 3 syllables or more are stressed on the third to last syllable. If the word has an affix or affixes, we need to ask the question, does it have a prefix? If the answer is yes, we will apply Rule 1.1. Prefixes are normally not stressed. Both yes and no answers lead us to the next question. Does it have a suffix? If the answer is yes, then we will apply the rules related to the suffixes. After deciding on word stress placement, we will apply the rules to decide on vowel reduction. Rule 4.1. The vowel in the stressed syllable is not reduced. And Rule 4.2. The vowel in the unstressed syllable is usually reduced, but it may be unreduced in some words.
Besides the decision flowchart, we have several types of suggested teaching activities for you to flexibly embed into your classroom. Here are just some examples of the activities. For more details and ready-made materials, please refer to the handbook that will be released later. The first activity is listening and identifying word stress. Students may be instructed to listen to the given sentences and circle the syllable or vowel with primary stress. This may enhance their sensitivity to word stress perceptually. The second activity is stress pattern discovery. You may give your students a list of words with phonological similarities, such as the suffix logy in this example, and ask them to observe and discover the word stress pattern by themselves. Therefore, through self-directed discovery activities, they may understand and memorize the rules more easily, facilitating learner autonomy. The third activity is stress error tagging. You may provide sentences with information on stress patterns of the target words you want them to learn. Some patterns are correct while some are not, and ask them to decide whether the target words are correctly stressed. This type of analytic task may encourage students to apply the rules they acquired and strengthen their understanding of the rules. The fourth activity is listening and identifying errors. You may generate audio recordings of sentences containing the target words you want them to learn by recording self-reading or using AI-based text-to-speech tools such as Mirth, and intentionally making some mistakes in word stress for the students to identify. This also encourages them to apply the rules and strengthen their perceptions of word stress.